Hi everyone, I'm Leanne and it is time to pick my July TBR. I know I say this at the start of every TBR jar video, but where the hell is the year going? We are now in the second half of the year, which means this is now the 6th time I am picking prompts out of my TBR jar. I didn't pick any out in March because that was the Irish readathon where I was reading only Irish books in the month. And I thought with this being the 6th time that I've picked prompts out of my jar, it might be a good moment to reflect on how this is going as a reading exercise. And I would say it's a mixed degree of success. I spoke about this a little bit in the previous month's video, but I feel like at the start of the month, I'm really excited by the books that I've picked off my shelves and I read a couple of them basically like right away. I then mood read for a little bit, and then by the time we get to like the last week of the month, I've typically had a couple of books left that I have chosen in the TBR jar videos that I haven't read yet, and then they start to feel like chores. They start to feel like prescribed reading, which makes me feel less inclined to read them. So that has been interesting because the intention behind picking 5 prompts out a month was that it gave me 5 books that were quite structured, and then it gave me 5 books to read just by my mood reading because I was planning on reading around 10 books per month. In most of the months this year, I've actually read more than 10 books, so it is even less than half of my books are this like prescribed reading. As I look back on the books that I haven't got to, it makes me question things like, do I actually want to be reading these books? Should they be on my TBR? If when I'm giving a prompt to read them, I end up not doing it over the next 4 weeks. And reflecting on some of those books, I think the answer for some of them might be yes. But for some of them, it's definitely not the case. I definitely do want to read them. I sort of feel the need to catch up on those books that I haven't been reading to like complete the TBRs. It's kind of like, I feel like I need to catch up, which is just like a self-inflicted rule. Like I don't need to be doing that. So that all sounds like relatively negative. But on the other hand, picking up prompts every month has definitely led to me prioritizing and picking up books that may have otherwise lingered on my shelves for even longer. And I definitely see being prompted to pick up those books as a real benefit to my reading. On top of all of that, I really enjoy making these videos. I really enjoy picking out the prompts. Some of them I have no idea what they're going to be because they weren't put in the jar by me. And I really love how it makes me shop my shelves and how it has an element of like a scavenger hunt, a treasure hunt, as I try and find books that fulfill the prompts. So I'm really enjoying the process of actually creating the TBR every month. I feel like I maybe just need one really good month where I smash through all 5 of the books that I pick out and at least make a dent in catching up on the books that I haven't read from previous TBRs. I think with those books that are lingering from previous TBRs, by the end of the year, I definitely want to have them all read or unhauled because I want to be able to properly reflect back on doing this TBR jar exercise for a year. Now, I've rambled on quite a lot and probably like over complicated or over intellectualized something which is just picking reading prompts out of a little jar. But I do get really nerdy about these things and I hope you do too. Anyway, that is enough waffling on. I'm gonna pick 5 fresh prompts out of my TBR jar / sugar bowl. Okay, let's go with prompt number 1. It's actually so noticeable, like that there are fewer pieces of paper in here now. Okay, so this is a prompt that my boyfriend has put in and it says, read a short story. I'm not sure if I have any like individual short stories, but I definitely have short story collections that I could pick. Prompt number 2. So this says sexy nonfiction, by which I think I meant like just something that is related to like sexuality, sexual experiences, like in some way. I feel like I've picked out a nonfiction prompt probably like most months as well, which again is another benefit because I do slightly forget about my nonfiction shelves because they're not in this room. Okay, number 3, on your TBR the longest. Prompt number 4, very thankful for this, read a poetry book. And then the final prompt for July, this is another one that my boyfriend's put in and he's put red cover romance on it. So I don't know if this is an option or 2 requirements. Okay, let's think about all of these prompts together. Sexy nonfiction should be pretty straightforward and is in its like own category. Again, poetry should be really straightforward as well. Read a short story, I have limited options. The book on your TBR the longest. I mean, I can tell you that this is Moby Dick, which I got a copy of for free in 2015, and it was one of the books that started my love for the Penguin English Library mystery books, and I just know I'm not gonna read Moby Dick. But there are a few books that I think I still have on my TBR from 2016, so I'm gonna cheat on this prompt slightly and maybe choose one of those books rather than the book that I actually know has been on my TBR the longest, because I just know I'm not gonna read Moby Dick. All four of those prompts like aren't as scavenger hunty as I would have liked. I think when there's a couple of those that are like quite straightforward in terms of like my options being limited, or like quite straightforward in what they are in terms of selecting them, then it's fine. But for 4 prompts to not really have that kind of scavenger hunt element is not my favorite, but we do have a romance with a red cover to compensate for that. So why don't we start with that one? Okay, so I have 2 options. Neither of them have like completely red covers. Actually, is this a romance? I don't think it is. Is it? This is The Summer Job by Lizzie Dent, and honestly, it has like the smallest amount of red on it. So I think I'm probably gonna go for Thank You for Sharing by Rachel Runya Katz. I mean, half of it is red, and it's definitely a romance, so I'm gonna go with this one. And I do feel like this is one of those books that I slightly forget about it being on my shelves, so having a prompt to read it is really beneficial. I'm gonna go for the poetry book next. So I'm gonna go for Mayday by Jackie Kay. Jackie Kay is a poet that I've read lots from before, so I feel really confident that I'm gonna get value out of this one. So this is the next book on the TBR. Read a short story. So I am gonna look and see if I do have anything that is just a singular short story, and if not, it'll be a short story collection. So the book I've gone for is The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night by Jen Campbell, who you may know as an author, but also from her BookTube channel. I have read some of Jen's non-fiction before, but not her fiction. And this collection isn't too long either, which I think will be really good. And it has 12 stories in it, so I could read one of these like every few days, which is the way I always imagine is best to read a short story collection. But I feel like I do end up like binging maybe like the first half and then like putting it down and forgetting. So maybe I should try and be quite structured with this and read a story every couple days. I haven't done this with my picks intentionally, but I do think I bought both of these books from the same secondhand bookstore on the same day. Okay, so for the book that has been on my TBR the longest, as discussed, I'm just not going to read Moby Dick, so I'm not going to burden myself with that. I have no books left unread from 2016, but I do have quite a few from 2017, so I'm going to pick one of those. And they are all classics. And none of them I feel like I particularly want to read. Okay, I'm going to go have a look and see. I don't even know if I've got all of these books here. Okay, the one I'm gonna go with is The Mayor of Casterbridge by Thomas Hardy. I've read a few Thomas Hardy books in the past, and this one is the moving, humane tragedy of a deeply flawed and self-destructive man. This is good though. It is good for me to have prompts to be reading my Penguin English Library collection, so this is a positive thing. Sometimes when I go into the non-fiction shelves, I will take you guys with me, but I'm gonna be honest with you, it is so unbearably hot right now that I'm just gonna make this quick. I'm gonna go pick a non-fiction book off the non-fiction shelves, specifically a sexy non-fiction, and then I'll be back. So I've picked Amazing Disgrace, a book about shame by Grace Campbell. I have a lot of books that are about like female empowerment, specifically when it comes to sex and sexuality. And I think at one point my bookshelf was maybe like oversubscribed to the point where a lot of these books started to look samey, even though I'm sure they're not. This is a book that is all about banishing shame, whether it is about sex or rejection or mental health, but I think it's definitely leaning into the sex angle. And I think this will be quite like a fun, fast read for me. Okay, this feels like quite an achievable TBR for the month. We've got romance, we've got short stories, we've got a classic which will challenge me, but I will enlist the help of an audiobook. We've got a fun non-fiction, and then we've got some poetry as well. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these books. Let me know what you thought of them. Do you think I'm gonna enjoy them? Do you think that I'm gonna hate them? If you want to let me know you're here but you don't have anything in particular to say, could you leave me a flower emoji? There are lots of like flowers around the edge of the cover of The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night, so that is what I would like your emoji to reference. That's it for me today. I hope you're well, and I'll speak to you in my next video.